are deemed essential to the community and to the day-to-day lives of members of the public. It has also instructed people to stay at home and stopped dining in services and restaurants. This is the world at noon, coming to you from Osun State Broadcasting Corporation, Ile-Awuje Okebale Osogbo, Voice of the West. Now amid this message. Let moderation be your watchword as you wine and dine during this festive period. World leaders have been reacting with shock to the killing of the former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. U.S. President Joe Biden has ordered U.S. flags to be flown at half-mast over the weekend in tribute to Abe. His Brazilian counterpart, Mr. Jair Bolsonaro, who himself survived an assassination attempt, announced 3 days of official mourning. Also, Mr. Biden's predecessor, Mr. Donald Trump, said Abe was a unifier like no other and hoped the suspect will be dealt with swiftly and harshly. Former U.S. President Mr. Barack Obama recalled the moving experience of traveling to Hiroshima and Pearl Harbor together. In the meantime, Britain's Queen Elizabeth II said she was deeply saddened by the news, adding that she had found memories of meeting Mr. Abe and his wife during their visit to the United Kingdom in 2016. UK Prime Minister Mr. Boris Johnson referred to it as a despicable attack and said that the UK stands with the Japanese people at a dark and sad moment. In the meantime, Ukrainian President Mr. Volodymyr Zelensky noted with dismay that it was a brutal assassination, and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin said Abe was an outstanding statesman who did a lot for the development of good neighborly relations between their countries. In the meantime, a private wake will be held in Tokyo today and a funeral tomorrow for Mr. Shinzo Abe. According to Abe's office, they could hold a ceremony to mourn him, though a time and location has not been decided yet. The office has set up an altar for the public to lay flowers in their office in Yamaguchi and will add a space for incense tomorrow. Mr. Abe was Japan's longest-serving prime minister, having held office from 2006 to 2007, then again from 2012 to 2020 when he stepped down, citing health reasons. But even after his resignation, Abe remained an influential figure in the country's political landscape and continues to campaign for the LDP. U.S. Secretary of State Mr. Anthony Blinken will visit Tokyo today, meeting Kishida to pay respects and give his condolences to the Japanese people. Also, Taiwan's President Mr. Tsai Ing-wen and several senior government officials also visited Japan's de facto embassy in Taipei today to pay tribute to Mr. Abe as to convey her deepest condolences to the Abe family. Taiwan is also flying flags at half-mast to mark Abe's contributions to the island. And that was The World at Noon, edited by Olushola Egbedofo and delivered by Olushayo Babatunde. News Talk today, titled The Man with the Midas Church, is dedicated to the commitment of Governor Digbo Goyotola to good governance as well as the development of Osun. In this write-up, Abimbola Babatunde of our Radio News and Current Affairs Directorate focuses on the monumental achievements of the governor's nearly 3.5 years watch in Osun.
Of many parts, with vast experiences in politics, finance management, business, and public administration, Governor Adegboyega Oyetola took up the mantle of leadership of Osun State on November 27, 2010. The man of deep conviction and a religious devote who has progressed in his endeavors by dint of hard work and uncompromising stand on integrity has been moving in leaps and bounds since his assumption of office as the governor for almost 3.5 years now. He came to power with deep experiences in both the private and public sectors as reflected in the way and manner he has been prudently and sensibly managing the resources and running the affairs of the state. The Despite paucity of funds, the governor has so far kept faith with the vision of the founding fathers of the state to sustainably build an Ikmile Mamuabi. Since coming on board, he has demonstrated that he did not only understand and appreciate the peculiar needs of an average Osun person, but that he is also passionately interested in growing the state. And Yoruba adage says, "Agbaofifu lo ndu yomu," meaning empty barrel makes loudest noise. Governor Adegboyega Oyetola is an enigma endowed with quiet nature, which he is currently using in administering the state and fulfilling his campaign promises. He hit the ground running immediately on assumption of office by demonstrating that health is wealth. This prompted him to embark on renovation of hospitals and revitalization of primary health centers. Furthermore, in a bid to ensure that the welfare of frontline medical personnel is guaranteed, the Osun government approved 100% implementation of a consolidated health salary structure for all categories of health workers in the state. His phenomenal leadership traits also came to the fore through the payment of full salaries of workers and pensions and gratuities of retirees as and when due. On education, being a leader with a calm mind and clear vision, Governor Oyetola's administration had painstakingly designed a template to reposition education and make it serve as a catalyst for building a strong, prosperous and sustainable state. He yielded to the yearnings of the citizens to reverse some obnoxious policies on education. On security, Governor Oyetola has never mined words in reaffirming that his administration's commitment to security, safety and welfare of the people remained irrevocable. He inaugurated 360 newly recruited officers into the State Security Network Agency, Amotekun Corps, and reaffirmed that his administration had given security the prime of place as it is critical to its development agenda and a strategy for revolutionizing the state's economy. On road construction, as a commitment to working his talk, the governor swung into action, and within 2 years of his emergence, 21 roads totaling over 71 kilometers had either been reconstructed or rehabilitated. It is also important to add that the administration has sustained the concept of rural road construction, rehabilitation, and their mechanized maintenance under the Osun Rural Access and Mobility Project (ORAMP). Under this commitment to open up the hinterland and tame the urban rural migration, we also have the Kilebe-Iragbiji Road, Osogbo-Ilobu Road, and which has had positive economic values to the various communities. Under the Adegboyega Oyetola's administration, all these massive road projects are being funded through a new scheme called Alternative Project Funding Approach, or rather known as the Contractor Financer Scheme. Under this template, the contractors solely fund the project and later get refunded through a schedule that does not subject the meager resources of the state to undue pressure. Governor Oyetola did not take for granted the development of the capital city of Osogbo. This informed the allocation of bulk capital for the construction of roads. The construction of a network of roads in the Aleku-Odo area is one example of urban renewal that has transformed the largest ward in the state. At the center of the town, the Olaiya flyover among other infrastructural projects was done to give Osogbo a befitting status as a seat of power and for the benefits of the people. According to Governor Oyetola, the flyover is not just an iconic project designed for ostentatious purposes, but one of the government's measures to ensure the safety of citizens' lives. The Oyetola's strategy for transforming the state's finances informed the project is giving priority. For instance, the Dagboli International Trade Center, which incorporates a bonded terminal, aims to restore the state historic past as a logistics and distribution hub for major manufacturers and conglomerates. The project is leveraging on the federal government's ongoing revitalization of railway assets, but the most arresting of these initiatives is the Memorandum of Understanding signed between the Oyetola administration and international mining firm Tiger Mines Limited for exploitation of the state's gold reserves. Hopes are high that large tracts of rural areas are sitting on deposits estimated at 15.3 million ounces. Interestingly, that same process has discovered deposit from the platinum family of minerals, potentially broadening earning possibilities. The state has also acquired mining licenses in Zamfara and a couple of others. The joint venture Manuabi Mines is a world-class gold mine and refining center at Oshu, mined by locals as well as expatriates from South Africa, Zimbabwe, in Germany. Mr. urges Mr. Governor to remain consistent and focused on delivery of good, purposeful and people-friendly governance and ensure continuous public-centered policy formulation and implementation for better development of the state. With all these myriads of developmental projects put in place for the benefit of mankind, News Talk also opines that it is fit and proper for the people of Osun of the silent achiever and trustworthy leader.
That News Talk, entitled The Man with the Midas Touch, is dedicated to the commitment of Governor Adegboyega Oyetola to good governance as well as the development of Osun. In the write-up, Abimbola Babatunde of our Radio News and Current Affairs Directorate focused on the monumental achievements of the governor's nearly 3.5 years watch in Osun. It was read by Mutuayo Ajigbayo. For more about us, you can visit www.osbcng.org. Thanks for listening to The World at Noon. Good afternoon.
You are live. On Osun.